everybody, welcome back to the vlog. Thank you so much for joining me once again for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside. It's a little cool outside, about 61 degrees down here in South Florida, which is cold. All right, this fireside has that lapsang in it. It's got that smoky flavor. It's so good, guys. I hope you're having your cup of tea with me, maybe a cup of coffee, maybe something harder, depends on where you are on the planet, as I always say. Anyways, we're going to get into something a little bit interesting today, I think, and it is thought-provoking, all right? And I want your answers to these questions and comments in the comment area. Let's have a discussion because I find it fascinating and it gives a direction to where the market is going, all right? So I was posing that Canon would come up with a EOS R5s this year. And people are like, what the hell would that be? Well, I'm going to get into that in just a second. Before, I want to do some housekeeping first. If you haven't downloaded my ebook as of yet, go over to JCristina.com/ebook. Once again, JCristina.com/ebook. 10 tips at making tack sharp images. There's something there for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're an amateur, a pro-am, or a professional. Go grab it. It is free. Once again, JCristina.com/ebook. Also, one other thing. Today, I was supposed to be doing a live event with this great guy. His name is Stuart Wood, and we were going to do Macro Photography 101. And he's a great macro photography guy that has an awesome channel, a YouTube channel that I want you guys to take a look at. But before you do, come tomorrow, most likely, we're going to shoot for tomorrow to have this event. So keep it on your calendar, watch for it. I'll send out emails as well as notifications. So if you have not subscribed to the channel as of yet and click this little bell icon over here, go do it. So if you do that, you'll be notified when we go live. So there's going to be a lot of pictures. He's going to tell you what he uses, how he uses it, expensive ways to shoot macro, cheap ways to shoot macro, everything in between, and you'll be able to see photos that represent it. So I'm really excited about it. We had some really hard times here with internet. We had a guy over here just ripped up our cables and was rerunning cables, and it's just been just a hell of garbage, all right? AT&T. Yeah. Anyways, so now that we get that all out of the way, Olympics 2021, all right? We are going to have the Winter Olympics for 2020 now in 2021 due to the whole virus thing, and it's going to start July 23rd, go through August 8th of this year. That is really big because most of the time during the Olympics, we have the camera manufacturers come out with their flagship massive DSLRs, right? Well, now that we're in mirrorless times, we expected a lot of these companies to come out with their mirrorless equivalents too. So we talked about, for example, the Canon EOS R1. Well, we saw Sony already has the Alpha 1 out. We also saw that Nikon made a formal announcement that they are going to be producing the Z9, which is the equivalent to their, let's say, D6. Their professional mirrorless camera. But it's not going to happen this year. They just simply cannot get it out in time for the Olympics. And then just to release it by the end of the year just makes no sense. They might as well just push it back a little bit further. The Olympics is a great time to show off your brand new flagship. So we were postulating that the Canon EOS R1 would be out in time. And most likely we would see a Z9 out in time. But due to supply chain issues, and we can understand why, it's just not going to be feasible. They're not going to be able to do it, and neither one of these companies are going to rush a product out there and have something half-baked, because we know we cannot have that. Or some of these companies, like Nikon, is going to experience some really hard times, worse than they've been having as of late, with their $700 million loss in profit and whatnot, okay? So we cannot have that, and they will not do that. Now, what Canon Rumors did put out there was someone really close to them or a source that they believe to have in the past had really good knowledge of what's going on, said that the R1 would not be coming out until the first or second half of 2022. So in 2021, we're not going to see it, as what we most recently predicted. Now, what the source did say, quote, an exciting new RF mount camera was coming out for 2021. And a lot of people were thinking about that and saying, wow, what could that be? What would that exciting new RF mount be? Now, we did talk about, and there has been rumors coming out that Canon was coming out with a high megapixel camera. And there was so many people were saying, oh, that's going to be the R1 and it's going to have a global shutter at 80 megapixels. What a bunch of crap. You know, this is the stuff that you hear, but obviously we debunked that in a last video or a couple of videos ago about how it's just not possible to have a global shutter at 80, 90 megapixels as of today and make it feasible for anyone to purchase like you and I. So that's pretty much out. But this is where I was coming up with the idea of them coming up with possibly a Canon EOS R5s. Now, why do I say that? Well, Canon had in the past created a, let's say, big boy megapixel camera. And that camera was their 5DS. And we know that the Canon EOS R5 is basically a 5D replacement on the mirrorless side. Now, they also came up with, at the time, a 5DSR, which didn't have a low-pass filter in it and whatnot, but it still remained at like 50.6 megapixels. Now, we do see Sony with an A7R4 at 60 megapixels, 60.2 I believe it is. So I would imagine that Canon would come up with something that is higher than 60 megapixels, so maybe let's call it 80 megapixels, but it won't be an R1. In R1, like I predicted way back, it's going to be a low megapixel camera if they want to be able to get out there and just bang through a crazy amount of frames. So 20 plus, maybe 30 frames per second, who knows? All right. But if they want to go with something that does 8K, now all of a sudden you need a lot more megapixels, and maybe they have to do multiple processors, whatever. But back to this idea of an EOS R5s. This will allow them to have that high megapixel camera, this exciting new RF mount, all right? And it will definitely beat the A7R4, as they always want to do. It's always that tit for tat, back and forth, all right? Where it used to be Nikon and Canon, I always called them two legs on one body. One would take a step forward, and then the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. That's how the industry moved forward for many, many, many years. Canon and Nikon taking steps back and forth. Well, now all of a sudden it seems to be Sony and Canon that's going to be doing this until Nikon really gets it together. And they might with this new flagship coming out, their Z9. We'll see what ends up happening with that. So I was thinking, how does this affect the industry? By the 2021 now Olympics coming to pass, and there will be basically no mirrorless. All of the major shots that happen during these Olympics will be done on DSLRs, on either Canon 1Ds or, for example, a Nikon D6, and there'll probably be some also on the Sony Alpha 1. But the majority, I would say 80% of all the pictures that come out of the Olympics will be on DSLRs. How does that affect the industry? Because we know there's a lot of up-and-coming professional photographers that use the Olympics to see what are the big boys, the pros, using to capture these images, these fast action images, right? As we always talk about sports, wildlife, any type of action, fast action stuff, we're dealing with a lot of frames per second. And we look at folks using a 1D for many, many years, or a Nikon D4, D5, now D6, whatever. So how does this affect the industry? I personally think that we'll see a lot of people looking at the Olympics and seeing the majority of the coverage happening on DSLRs. People will say, you know, you probably don't need a mirrorless camera to be a professional today. It's kind of like a want, not a need. right? It's a desire. It's not something that you have to be a professional, obviously. So I might not move into mirrorless as of yet. This DSLR is good enough. If it's good enough for the Olympics and these big boys out there motoring through 14, 20 frames per second, whatever, I can use this. I don't need to buy a mirrorless. So I think it's going to kind of push things out 6 months. That's my opinion. I just simply think that it will perpetuate the notion that DSLRs are good enough. You don't need a mirrorless to be a professional, especially when it comes to fast action. You just simply don't need it. And like I said, I would say good 80% of the photos for this year's Olympics will be done on DSLRs. So one of my questions to you is, do you think that it's a possibility that a Canon EOS R5s comes out before the end of this year, as I speculate? It just feels right to me, right? It feels right. You probably haven't heard this on the YouTubes as of yet, but I just was thinking about it this morning and I wanted to share it. It just makes sense because we've seen these rumors come out that a high megapixel Canon camera was going to be coming out this year. All of this postulating of R1 global shutter, 80 megapixels, we debunked basically. What else is left? The 5DS, that's left, or 5DSR. That's what's left, in my personal opinion. So that to me means an EOS R5s is probably right around the corner before the end of this year. You heard it here first. We'll see if that is the case, but I want to know what you think about it. What else could possibly be the case? So we hear that there's an exciting new RF mount camera coming out. What else could it be? If it is not the R5s, what is it? Could it be an EOS R7? Why do I say that? Well, we have a 5D replacement with the R5. We have a 6D replacement with the R6. We have a 1D replacement that's coming soon with an R1. We need a 7D replacement. The 7D is an APS-C sensor, right? Not full frame. So could they be coming out with, exciting news, a APS-C mirrorless? So could there be an R7 coming out? Now, what we hear here is exciting RF mount. If that's the case, do they or are they going down the same path as Sony and having a one mount fits all? Instead of creating an entire line of RF small APS-C size type of glass, are they going to stick with the regular RF glass that we have and simply put it on this mount and attach it to an APS-C camera? I think that makes sense, right? Sony's done it. They do APS-C and full frame, same exact mount. They could do it. They definitely can do it. So that could be an option also. The R7 with the exact same mount as the R5, the R6, the R1, right? And they don't have to create new lenses. What do you think about that? Is that a possibility? So I guess to boil it all down, all right, we have the Canon EOS R1 most likely delayed to first, second quarter of 2022. We will definitely see an announcement this year because Nikon is pressuring them, because Nikon announced their Z9, Canon has to announce the R1. So that will definitely happen. We'll see the announcement, but we won't see the camera, most likely. Also, will Canon come up with a direct competitor to the Sony A7R4 with a EOS R5s, like I speculate? Or can Canon surprise us all with an APS-C R7 with the exact same mount as their R5, the R6, and the soon R1? And finally, will the Winter Olympics, as I speculate, be dominated by DSLRs and not mirrorless cameras? And how will that affect the entire industry and the thoughts and the minds of the up-and-coming professionals? I want to hear from you. So, anyways, guys, if you like anything that you heard today, please subscribe to the channel, throw it a big thumbs up, click this little bell icon over here so when I go live, as I will probably tomorrow, next day, with Stuart Wood, macro photography, stay tuned. Or when new videos come out like this one, you'll be notified of it immediately. Also, if you want to give back to the channel, now you can click the little join button right down here. That'll allow you to become a member of the channel. Give $1, $2, $5 a month, and I can give you perks for doing so. That will really help the channel grow. Also, when we're done talking down here in the comment area below this video, head over to community.JCristina.com. That is our creative Discord server that we created for all of us to hang out. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, no trolls allowed. Great people just talking about tech, photo, video, everything in between. And it's a great place for knowledge. Really smart people over there, smarter than I am. I can tell you that for sure. Anyways, hang out. I'm there all the time. Go to community.jcristina.com. It's free, our creative Discord server. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That would be awesome. And for getting to the end of this nonsense, please use promo code YT20 at checkout. You're going to get 20% off everything in your shopping cart. Once again, YT20 at checkout, 20% off everything. If you don't want to buy it over at my website, JCristina.com, any of my products, you can find them over at B&H Photo and Video and Amazon.com, of course, and a lot of local retailers, camera stores throughout the world. Go check them out, JCristina.com or JCristina Photography Tools. So anyways, guys, I'm going to go finish up my fireside. I hope you're doing the same with your tea, coffee, or something harder. We'll see you in the next video. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe and stay healthy.